Welcome to All About Arsenal, and this evening is another episode of Fan Friday. We're in episode 5 already. It's how time flies. And basically, what we do here is that we look at the questions that Arsenal fans have asked regarding the new campaign, and we answer it to the best of our abilities. So, as expected, we also want you guys to be part of the conversation. So, feel free to come on and also make your comments and your questions as well. Okay, so we'll start with the first question here. It says, how would you rate Arsenal's transfer business last summer now that we've seen the signings in action? So this summer, Arsenal made 8 signings. Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal, Christian Mosquera and Piero Hincapié in defense, Martin Zubimendi, William Norgard in midfield, Victor Gyökeres and Noni Madueke in attack. So how you rate Arsenal's business this summer? I would say it's a solid 10 over 10. Not in our wildest dreams did we anticipate or believe that we will make this much signings. Obviously, last season was a disaster. Arsenal had their depth challenge when they had injuries to Saka, to Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz. But this time, we did very well in recruiting. We needed to have some alignment around what was going on in goal, and that was sorted. We needed to get some new defenders that are going to add value to the team. We had Takehiro Tomiyasu, who had finally had his contract rescinded because of the fact that he was always suffering injury problems and he was let go. So obviously signing a player like Mosquera was very, very important, bearing in mind that he also plays as a right back and even as a centre back. We had Jacob Kivior who left at the very, very last time of the transfer window. And losing Jacob Kivior was a bitter pill to swallow because we needed to replace him as soon as possible. Oh, Las Bello in the chat. Welcome, Las Bello. Always good to have you. And yes, good evening. Thanks for being part of our journey. Looking forward to also getting your comments as well. As we all know, you can also ask your questions as well in the chat and even respond to what we're saying here. So we needed like some good cover in defense, and we got them in Hincapié and Mosquera. We also had two major players in Thomas Partey and Jorginho leaving this summer, and of course we needed to replace them effectively, and we did that with Martin Zubimendi and Christian Norgard. We have been looking for a Bukayo Saka backup for quite a long time. Reece Nelson didn't really cut it, and when we signed Raheem Sterling, he was an absolute disaster. So getting Noni Madueke was an amazing move for us. As you can see, Saka suffered an injury, and Noni Madueke has already slotted into the team. The one player we really needed desperately was a striker, and we got that in Victor Gyökeres. At least now, even with Kai Havertz out, we can see that he's a very, very good player that will come in for us. So how would I rate our transfer business? I would say in terms of the incomings, I'll give it a solid 10 over 10. But for the outgoings, I have some concerns. We didn't sell as much as we expected to in terms of getting the right amount of value for those players. Looking at the transfer window, Chelsea actually had over 300 million in sales, while Arsenal, on the other hand, had just 10 million in sales. Yeah, I agree. Use this button to dislike the Sterling move. It's an absolute disaster. Like for a player that has been so experienced, who has played in Chelsea, who has played in Manchester City, who has played in Liverpool, it was terrible to see what Sterling did when he was at Arsenal. So regarding our departures, obviously Partey, we could not align on a new contract for him, so he had to go for free. Jorginho also left for free as well. And always he was already old enough and all that, and needed to go to play for Flamingo in the Club World Cup. Then of course we had the likes of Sambi Lokonga and Fabio Vieira, who went to Hamburg. Lokonga was on the move. Basically, he had tried a loan spell at Luton Town. It didn't work out. He tried a loan spell at Crystal Palace where he played under Patrick Vieira, and he was playing very well. But as soon as Roy Hodgson took over from Patrick Vieira, his stock just dropped and he didn't play anymore. He also went to Sevilla last season and also had his struggles as well, which was very, very challenging. Then we saw Zinchenko move with basically the very last final transfer window to Nottingham Forest. His wages have always been a challenge when the likes of Fulham and AC Milan came around for him. But now we're going to just send him on loan to Nottingham Forest where he'll play one full campaign and leave as a free agent, for whoever that was signed, Nottingham or any other team. Reece Nelson, a player that we have tried to ship out so many times, eventually wanted to stay in London, so he got a move to Brentford and all that. So I would say our transfer business for our outgoings were not as impressive as our incomings, but in the end, the squad trimming was quite good. I think we have the right balance in the team. If you can look at every position, you can see the innate quality that in all of them. In goal, we allowed Net to return back to Bournemouth. I think he eventually went to Saudi Arabia or something. But right now we have David Raya and Kepa Arrizabalaga. In right back, we have Julian Timber and Ben White. We also have Josh Nichols, who can also come in and play as an emergency right back. We also have Christian Mosquera, who is a good right back as well. He has played the football a couple of times in his time in Valencia. In left back, we have Baez Lewis Kelly and Ricardo Calafiori, two good signings that are very, very, very good. At least Calafiori has really shown some real value. In centre back, we have Gabriel, we have Saliba, we have Hincapié and Mosquera. In our DM, which is the sixth position, we have Martin Zubimendi and Christian Nogard. In the left eight, we have Mikel Merino. We have Declan Rice. In the right eight, we have Ethan Nwaneri and Martin Odegaard, our captain. In the right wing, Bukayo Saka, Madueke. The left wing, Eberechi Eze, Gabriel Martinelli, Leandro Trossard, and of course, attack, Kai Havertz and Victor Gyökeres. So you can see the right level of qualities in the squad right now. And I think, that what we have is really good. And yes, as Last Bello says on the chat, for outgoings to be really leaky, what's my take on why we struggle to sell off decent value? Are we keeping players beyond their value date? Happens window after window. So it's just something that is quite puzzling if you ask me. We tend to buy players and give them some kind of exorbitant wages. And when we don't really get much value for them, it's difficult to even sell them. Like someone like Nketiah. Nketiah has always been a benchman for the best of our knowledge. But when he was about to leave on a free transfer, what did we do? We gave him £100,000 per week for someone that is actually a benchman, someone that just comes in as a squad player. But how did that pan out for us? You could see that we now struggled to sell him. But eventually, Crystal Palace came with a bid that was good enough for us. Same with Reece Nelson. He's earning 100,000 per week. So one issue that I have with our sales is that I don't think we give them the right type of wages that keeps them that makes them work on their feet because they are very comfortable. Zinchenko wouldn't have even bothered himself to leave this summer if we did not send him out to Nottingham Forest. He knew that he was behind Tierney, he was behind Calafiori, he was behind Miles Lewis Kelly, but he was just willing to, play when we want him to play and all that. And that's a big challenge for us. We tend to, keep doing this. And as you said, Las Bello, it happens window after window after window, which is a challenge. But it's all good. We just have to keep, trying when we have the opportunity to do so. And of course, I agree with you, Las Bello. It's early days. But you're optimistic. I'm optimistic like you because let's look at each transfer on a case-by-case basis. Kepa Arrizabalaga is a good goalkeeper. He has played in Bournemouth. He has played in Real Madrid. He has played in Chelsea. he still has the record of being the most expensive goalkeeper of all time. Last season, he had 9 clean sheets with Bournemouth, and he's someone that can actually play very well with the ball at his feet. David Raya obviously had the battle with Ramsdale, which he eventually won. Ramsdale went to Southampton, got relegated, and of course is currently in Newcastle. But one key thing to see here is that Kepa Arrizabalaga is someone that can actually challenge David Raya for his place in the squad, which is a good thing. Moving further up the pitch, in defense, we have Mosquera. Mosquera is someone that is a very young player and all that. But see what happened when Saliba suffered that injury in Anfield. What did he do? He just stepped up and he had an amazing performance, for a youngster that has not played in the squad, that is struggling with English. He went in alongside Gabriel and they had a very good game together. Unfortunately, the goal was scored by an amazing free kick from Domenico Szoboszlai, but Mosquera played his own part in making that almost clean sheet happen. Playing from the back, you could see how confident he was, receiving the ball from Raya, distributing the ball to his fellow defenders and midfielders, and that just shows that we can trust Mosquera to come in. If Saliba is not fit enough to enter international break, I believe that Mosquera will be the one that will start alongside Gabriel in the game against Nottingham Forest, and we are going to be comfortable with that. As for Piero Hincapié, obviously I don't really watch Bundesliga that much, but he played 166 games for Bayer Leverkusen in the course of 5 seasons or thereabout. You can see how the club trusted him to play consistently at that young age. And of course, he was part of the Bayer Leverkusen side that went unbeaten in the German Bundesliga. The same team that went all the way to win the German DFB Pokal and almost did the three-peat when they played in the final of the Europa League against Atalanta, but unfortunately they suffered an injury. Yeah, of course, I agree with you, Las Bello. You said the pairing with Gabriel surprised me. A young talent and we surely have the legs for games to come. Yes, we play so many games. Like, it seems like Arsenal usually competes on all 4 fronts. And obviously, you have to see your guys play in the Carabao Cup, play in the FA Cup, Champions League and the Premier League, and there's so much football to go around for everyone. Now, looking at in midfield, we have not seen Christian Nogard play in the Premier League yet, but we got a glimpse of him in the preseason games. He was very, very good when we took on Tottenham. He scored a very wonderful goal against Villarreal. That was a good header. I've always known him for his aerial prowess. And if anything happens to Zubimendi, we have the confidence that Nogard can come in there and do his thing. He's someone that has played 196 games for Brentford, and we have seen him play. He's one of the best progressive passers of the ball. He's one of the most aggressive defensive midfielders in the Premier League. He has the experience factor, he has the leadership factor, and he's someone that we can trust. Zubimendi is an outstanding player. We've already seen him play already, and you can see how good he is. He's clearly an upgrade on Thomas Partey. No disrespect to Partey, but Zubimendi is someone that, as we have seen him play, we are happy. He's someone that can hold that left and the right 6th row well. And of course, you see how he progresses play. You see how he anticipates the ball. He doesn't necessarily have to go for all those crunching tackles. That's not his style. He's more like Sergio Busquets, and we have seen him do very well for us. Unfortunately, it was his foul that led to the Szoboszlai goal. But he was doing the job as a defensive midfielder. How did Van Dijk get the chance to pass that ball from 40 yards in between the defense? But he did well, tackled Jones to get a free kick for his team. But unfortunately, that was a mad free kick that was scored. It just happens. Further up the pitch, we have seen Noni Madueke play. He had his debut against Leeds on the left, and when Saka got injured in that same game against Leeds, he switched to the right. That versatility is something that is going to be very vital for us this season. Arteta has made it clear on how he loves versatile players, and Noni Madueke has shown that he can do that. At least we have seen him do it in Chelsea. We've even seen him when he was even in PSV, And obviously, Saka having that injury right now, Madueke had a very good game against Liverpool in Anfield. He was pretty much one of our best players that day. If not for the fact that Milos Kerkez was in inspired form, and at least he made some good saves from him, Madueke would have actually opened his account with the club. Further up the pitch, you have Vitor Gyökeres, who, is playing as a center forward that we've been looking for since Aubameyang. Arsenal has not had a center forward that has been that prolific since Aubameyang left the club. Gabriel Jesus had a good start, but obviously we know how he panned out when he went to the World Cup in Qatar. He suffered that knee injury, and that's never been the same for him since then. Struggled for form, struggled for fitness, and lost his place in the squad eventually to Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz is an attacking midfielder, a shadow striker. He's not a center forward, but he has done well, in the games he has played for us. But as you can see, he's currently injured, and Gyökeres is the one that is playing for him. Yes, his game against Manchester United, he struggled a bit. Against Leeds, he scored 2 goals, a very good, well-taken penalty, and of course that debut goal where he took the ball from Calafiori, made a slalom run on the left, took on a couple of markers, and blasted it to the bottom corner of Lucas Perry. So you can see that Arsenal summer transfers have been very good. I'm very happy to see what we have done, and that depth is more than enough to take us through as the campaign progresses. So the next question here is, which opponent has given Arsenal their toughest test so far in 2025-26? Well, we have a very small sample size for this, bearing in mind that I played just 3 Premier League games. I'm not going to include the preseason games because they're not competitive. But in the 3 games we have played so far, we played our first game against Manchester United, played the second game against Leeds United, and played the third game against Liverpool. And in all honesty, the toughest opponent we've played so far was the game against Manchester United. And, I didn't expect Manchester United to play the way they did. But Cunha, Mbeumo, Bruno Fernandes, they rattled us now. They rattled us now. It was so good to see us leave Old Trafford with the 3 points from that, set piece goal for Ricardo Calafiori. But Arsenal needed Raya to really be in inspired form to keep that game at bay. Obviously, this United, it was a little bit going to win that game, 5-0. It was a routine win for us. As for Liverpool, they were not as tough as Manchester United as far as I'm concerned. It was more like a game of chess. Arsenal were trying to, be careful. Liverpool were trying to be careful. And you can see what Ancelotti said in his post-match press conference. That if you had played that game 10 times, 8 times it would have been a draw. 1 time would have been a win for Liverpool. 1 time would have been a win for Arsenal. And we had the 1 time that was a win for Liverpool because, as you can see, the game was decided by a 0.03 XG shot. A free kick from Antonio Szoboszlai from almost 30 yards out. So, which have been our toughest opponent this season? I would say Manchester United. I'm sure we'll still have many more tough games to go. But at the time of this recording, I would consider them as Arsenal's toughest opponent. It's quite unfortunate to see that even after doing well against Arsenal, they went on to to continue to be Manchester United. The game against Fulham was a drab draw. It was a goal. I think it was an own goal for Ricardo Muniz when Lenny Yoro nodded in Mbeumo's corner off his body. And of course, our boy Emil Smith-Rowe scored the equalizer for Fulham. The Manchester United played against Grimsby Town in the second round of the Carabao Cup, and that was a very embarrassing game for them. They went all the way to penalties with Grimsby of all sides. Funny enough, Grimsby scored 2 goals first, scored a third goal that was actually very correct, but for some reason the linesman ruled it out for offside. Manchester United had a late rally, scoring 2 goals back, but eventually they went into penalties and the game ended 12-11 on penalties. Yes, everybody played for like a complete round, including Onana, and it was quite strange to see Benjamin Sesko playing at the 10th man, even behind the likes of Maguire and Dalot. So, after the Grimsby game, what they do, they played against Burnley, almost drew that as well. But I really don't care about Manchester United. They're no longer a threat to us. Our main challenges remain the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea, who are currently above us in the Premier League. If you could extend one player's contract tomorrow, who will it be? Undoubtedly, it's going to be Saka. Right now, Andrea Beta has done very well to sign the 8 players that we did. But prior to signing those 8 players, he also secured contracts for Gabriel. He also secured a contract for Marcus Kelly. He also secured a contract for Ethan Nwaneri. These are players that are very key to the squad, despite the fact that yes, you have the shiny new toys that arrived this summer. There are still some players that we get to hold down. I'm very happy to see that we confirm new deals for Gabriel, Waneri, and Lewis Kelly. However, we have two players that we need to sort out their contracts ASAP. One being Bukayo Saka, and the other being Martin Odegaard. And as it stands, man, sorry, not Martin Odegaard, William Saliba. Yes, William Saliba. And as it stands, if I'm to extend one player's contract tomorrow, without a shadow of any doubt, it's going to be Saka. Like, Las Vegas, you're correct. We need to shout it to the loud those at the back. Like, Saka is an Arsenal player, true and true. Came from our Highland Academy, started as a left back, started that they moved forward to left wing back. After that, made the brilliant move to take him to the right wing ahead of the likes of Nicolas Pepe and Willian. And Saka has grown to become one of the best right backs in world football, right wingers in world football. He's the number one starter for his country, England. He's the number one starter for Arsenal as well. And as far as I'm concerned, in the Premier League, it's only Mo Salah that's probably above him in that position. Mbeumo is quite good, has good output, but Saka is like on God mode, on a different level. So I read somewhere that Andrea Beta is making plans to sign, a new contract for Saka, and it's very, very evident that that's what we need. If you can just get Saka's deal locked down, I'll be the happiest guy on earth. Whatever fee you want to agree with him, let's just go ahead for it because he's worth it. You can see the way he has progressed as each campaign advanced. So if I look at his stats on FootMob, let me just quickly open that, just to talk about it briefly. Here we have Farouk in the chat. Big ups, bro. Welcome to the chat. Good to have you as always. So right now we're just talking about, the importance of a player like Bukayo Saka, and all this while that he has been at the club, he has kept on progressing at different levels. So what are we saying here? He began his career in the 2018-2019 season, where he had just 4 appearances. 1920, he had 4 goals, 12 assists in 35 games. 2021, he had 7 goals, 7 assists in 46 games. 21-22, you can see his progression. He had 12 goals, 7 assists in 43 games. 22-23, when we almost won the Premier League, Saka had 15 goals, 11 assists in 46 games. 23-24, Saka had 20 goals, 14 assists in 47 games. Then last season, before he got injured, he had 12 goals, 13 assists in 37 games. So Saka is someone that has continued to keep improving, and it would be terrible if Arsenal lose him, on a free transfer or something crazy like that. He has just 2 years left. Yeah, at the time of this summer we're about to go into, he's going to see that he's going to have only a year left. I'm very certain that we need to sort it out without any challenges. So to answer that question, if I'm to extend one player's contract tomorrow, it has to be Saliba. No, it has to be Saka, my bad. But let me talk about Saliba. Saliba is also a very important player for the club. Remember when we signed him from Saint Etienne? He was just an 18-year-old. We were wondering why Raul Sanlehi made a move of 30 million for an untested youngster. We sent him back to Saint Etienne to continue his footballing education. He left there. We sent him to OGC Nice, where he played half a season for them and also did well. We now sent him one more time to Olympique Marseille. It was Olympique Marseille that he actually now played an entire campaign under his belt. And at the time he had finished playing in Marseille, Mikel Arteta knew that this was the time to bring him back. While he was in Marseille, we had signed Ben White, who played alongside Gabriel in central defense. But when Saliba came back from that loan in Marseille, we put him straight into the first team without even thinking twice. I think we were just 22 or 21 at that time. Ben White, a centre back who we had signed for £50 million, had to go to right back to allow Saliba play alongside Gabriel. And that partnership has been the best in Europe. basically like a Cavallo Terry, basically like a Vidic Ferdinand, basically like a Koscielny Mertesacker. These guys have a telepathic understanding with each other. Saliba and Gabriel are the two defenders that have been part of the team that's gotten the most clean sheets for the past 2 seasons in a row. It's not a coincidence. It's based on the fact that these guys are amazing footballers and they have done very well for themselves. And I'm happy to see how that pans out. So obviously, Better had in mind to secure new deals for Saka and Saliba. But if I'm to choose one, it will be Saka. Next question says, who do you think will finish as Arsenal top scorer? That's very evident. I believe it's going to be Victor Gyökeres. He scored 97 goals in 102 games for Sporting CP. That record is mind-blowing when I think about it. People will come, yeah, it's not the Portuguese league. But come on. You have to make yourself available to receive the passes, to finish those chances. And Gyökeres has been doing that effectively in Sporting CP. Now that he has come to Arsenal, he has scored 2 goals in 3 games. Obviously, both goals came against Leeds United. But this is someone that knows how to finish. This is someone that will continue to have chances to kill off, games. And I'm very happy that Arsenal now has a player like Gyökeres in our ranks because we have really, really lacked a centre forward since Aubameyang, and I mentioned that earlier. Kai Havertz will still be among our top scorers, but whoever going to finish as a top scorer in Arsenal will be Gyökeres. I don't think any other person within the team will come close to him. It's probably not be like how Haaland's numbers are in Man City, where he will score like 30 and next person will score like 3 or 4 or 50. No. I also expect goals all around. Eberechi Eze can give us like 10 to 15 goals. Bukayo Saka scored 20 goals 2 seasons ago, scored 12 goals last season before his injury. So he has it in him. Oh, yes, as Farouk mentioned clearly, he's on penalties too. I know that penalties account for a whole lot of goals. Premier League, they still get a lot of penalties. That's not have very good wingers that can dribble and get impeded in the box. The likes of Madueke, the likes of Martinelli, the likes of Saka. And when those chances go to Gyökeres, he's going to blast them in. So I'm very confident that he's going to win the Golden Boot for us now. But I don't know whether he's going to win the Golden Boot in the Premier League. You see how the likes of Alexander Isak, you see how the likes of Mo Salah, Mbeumo. But I'm sure he'll be able to challenge them as long as he plays consistency. That's what is really important. So who finished as our top scorer? It has to be Gyökeres. Okay, next question here says, who would you say is Arsenal's most entertaining player to watch this season? Obviously, we have to put it in context that we've had a very small sample size in terms of the games we've played, which means we probably have to just judge it from what we did in preseason and, of course, the new campaign. The most entertaining, as far as I'm concerned, is Max Dowman. And let me make my thinking visible. He's someone that, prior to him coming on the pitch, there's already an expectation of what he can potentially do. And when he comes on the pitch, he's driven, he dribbles his way, gets his shots. And last time I checked, he has caused 3 penalties this season. Yes, we'll probably not count the penalties against Newcastle and Villarreal because they were considered in preseason. But the bottom line is that he made himself available to go into the box and was sighted down by an unfortunate defender who thought he would go to get the ball prior to getting him. When he came on as a sub against Leeds United, it was basically deja vu, the same kind of format, ran with the ball, and of course, he got impeded. And as you'd expect, we had a penalty. So we always need to have flair players like Max Dowman, like Eze, like Martinelli to balance, the rugged players we have, like Rice, Mendy, Gabriel, Saliba, and the rest. And that is the hallmark of champions. That is what we need to do to get to the point where we need to be killing off games. We need to be doing so well. And as far as I'm concerned, my most entertaining player has been Max Dowman. What are your thoughts? You can also share it on the chat as well. So this is a very interesting question. It says, if Arsenal don't win the league, would you still count it as a successful season? If Arsenal does not win the league and win the Champions League, yes, it will be a successful season. Like last season now, we crashed out of the Carabao Cup to Newcastle in the semi-finals. They beat us 2-0 at the Emirates and beat us 2-0 in St. James Park. In the FA Cup, we crashed out in the third round to Manchester United. It was a very, very annoying game. We outplayed them. They even had a red card, if I remember, yes. And we missed a penalty in that game. Went all the way to penalty shootouts and lost. In the Champions League, that's where, we had an extended run out. In the knockout round, we played PSG Eindhoven, decimated them 7-1 in their home, 2-0 away. In the quarterfinals, we played Real Madrid. Declan Rice scored those two amazing free kicks as we bashed Real Madrid 5-1. Yes, the defensive champions, we run them ragged around the park. 3-1 in Bernabeu, I think 2-0 at the Emirates, if I remember clearly. No, 2-1 in Bernabeu, 3-0 at the Emirates. Those two Declan Rice amazing free kicks. Then we now go to the semi-final against PSG. Had better XG than them in both legs. Missed too many good chances. I can think of the Trossard chance. I can think of the Martinelli chance. I can think of the Saka collar. I can think of the ball that was really close to Saka in Parc des Princes where he played the ball over the bar. But if Arsenal had won the Champions League, bearing in mind that our Premier League campaign was pathetic, for a team that took Man City to the final day of the Premier League last season, there was so much expectations of the team going into the new season. And what did we do? In the year that Man City now really struggled, we struggled alongside them, played so poorly, and the league was decided by Liverpool as far back as April, which was so sad to see. Arsenal basically prioritized the Champions League, understandably, because of the fact that we're so far out in the league that we could not catch up with Liverpool anymore. But if Arsenal had won the Champions League, I believe the fans would have been very happy. One, we have not won that trophy since its inception. I think the only European cup we have is the Cup Winners' Cup and First Cup, long time ago. So if we had won the Champions League last season, struggled in the Premier League, and struggled domestically as well, it's been a successful season. But for this new campaign, with the way we have recruited, with the expectations that fans have of us and the media, if Arsenal does not win the league this season, I don't think it will be a successful season. Because how much more do you want to keep coming second? Like at some point you have to get tired, right? At some point you have to motivate yourself to go over the line. When Akuna joined the club, we were 12th. He finished 8th. His first full season in the club, where we were heavily in the trenches, he finished 8th. The next season after that, we finished 5th, where we lost to Conte just in the final days of the Champions League, the Champions League qualification campaign, if I remember clearly. And since then, we finished second. 22-23 was very painful. We had led in the Premier League for 247 days. Man City's own focus was even more on the Champions League. But for some reason, at the time of April, we were leading them with 8 points. Then we drew with Liverpool, we drew with West Ham, we drew with Southampton, we just had the Etihad, and that campaign was done. Last 2 seasons ago was the one that, we had 2 terrible losses to Fulham and West Ham in December. The lads went for the Dubai warm weather training, and when they came back, Arsenal was on complete fire. In 18 games between January and May, Arsenal won 16 games, drew 1 match with Man City, and lost to Aston Villa. But that Aston Villa loss at home to Naimery's side was more than enough to allow Man City to win the league, because as soon as they usurped us, they didn't drop any more points up until the final day where Phil Foden scored those amazing goals against West Ham. So right then, last season, we're like, okay, you know what? We've come second 2 times in a row. Let's build on this. And of course, the injuries happened. The red cards against Brighton, the red card against Man City, some terrible results, terrible form and whatnot, and we dropped badly. So this season, Arsenal, in my opinion, needs to win the Premier League. Yes, we have the likes of Liverpool, you have the likes of Chelsea, you still have Man City, who are perennial winners as well, that are challenging. But I believe we have the best squad in the league. I believe we have the most balanced squad. And Liverpool's attack is amazing. But pound for pound, I don't think their defense is as good as Arsenal's defense. You can try it. In goal, Raya Allison. Those are two good keepers in their own ranks. And last time I checked, Raya has had more clean sheets than Allison in the past 2 seasons. Left back, Calafiori Kekes. Kekes is a very, very good left back. Obviously, I saw how well he did when he was at Bournemouth. Calafiori is someone that is quite good. So maybe Kekes might just edge him out. Maybe, yeah. Right back, Timber Frimpong. Are you kidding me? Like, Frimpong is good. He's very attacking, but pound for pound, Timber is one of the best right backs in the league. I don't think Frimpong is close to him. Let's look at the centre backs. Saliba, Van Dijk. Oof, that's a very strong one. Van Dijk is one of the best defenders in the world. He has been very consistent for so many years. Saliba is one of the most emerging defenders in the world as well. Gabriel Konate, Gabriel and Konate, no doubt. So you can see, looking at the defense, Liverpool edges us with maybe Van Dijk, probably Kekes, but I think Raya, in my opinion, is better than Allison. Timber is better than Frimpong, and of course, Gabriel is better than Konate. And let's move further up the pitch. Gravenberch and Zubimendi. Gravenberch is an amazing player, but without bias, if you give me Gravenberch and give me Zubimendi, I would choose Zubimendi. I'm not going to deny that. Declan Rice, McAllister, or should I compare with Szoboszlai? Either ways, I think Declan Rice is actually better. Odegaard, Szoboszlai. So you can see that actually, even in midfield, I think Arsenal midfield edges Liverpool. Or Liverpool, they'll be very, very good in fitness. They're actually a very, very tight-knit bunch. Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, and McAllister is actually a good combination. But when you add Florian Wirtz into the mix, I would say based on the form he showed from Leverkusen last season, he's better than Odegaard, because Odegaard has really struggled for form. But, the jury is still out for him. Saka, Salah, it's quite unfair, but I'll have to choose Salah because Salah has been doing this for so many years. Saka is amazing, no doubt, but I still have to give respect where respect is due. Salah is better than Saka as far as I'm concerned. I will mention it here. That's actually the second best right winger in the Premier League. On the left, you have Gakpo and Eze. That's an interesting one. But I think, I think I'll take Eze and go Gakpo. Although Eze is more of a attacking midfielder. But if you try Gakpo Martinelli, it's not for control. Gakpo Martinelli, but Gakpo Eze, I think quite hot. Then of course Gyökeres Isaac. That's another tough one. Isaac has been very amazing. I think he's the best striker in the league. Yes, I think Isaac is better than Gyökeres in my opinion. He's quite good, but he's better than Gyökeres. So what are we saying in essence? If Arsenal doesn't win the league, it's not a successful season for me. I think we have more than enough to win it. And I think we need to seal it up this summer because the project has been on for 6 years now. And the jury is here for Arteta. I really want him to win the Premier League because it's something that he actually deserves. He has done so well to build the squad that he has right now, and he needs to reap the benefits of it. So he says, has Arteta finally solved the low block problem this season? This question, I don't know how to answer it yet because, in all honesty, we have not really played like a legit low block side. Leeds United lost 5-0 to us, and Daniel Farke said before the game that he doesn't intend to come to Emirates to defend. And the formation he played against us showed that he had no plans of defending, and obviously he got whooped 5-0 for it. But we're still going to play the likes of West Ham, we're still going to play Everton, we're still going to play Newcastle, those teams that, we have really, really struggled against, Brighton and the rest. So right now, I can't answer this question because we have not played a low block team. Mine did not play a low block against us. We even played a low block against Manchester United, as far as I'm concerned. Somehow, we were more of the defensive side in that game. Against Liverpool, obviously, they played a cautious game. It was not really a low block. Because obviously, they scored the goal that was ruled out for offside. And of course, they scored the free kick that Szoboszlai finished. So, have we solved the low block problem? I won't say anything yet until we play a low block team. But what I can say is that we have gotten the right type of players that can tackle teams with low blocks. Enter Noni Madueke, enter Iberichi Eze. These are two maverick signings that we have made that are going to change the game for us. As we know, Madueke is someone that drives with the ball consistently. His own is business. He just wants to go in there, take on his man, blast his shot. Eze is someone that's also a very, very good precision shooter. He knows how to, create chances against teams that with low blocks. And even in Crystal Palace, we saw that. So my happiness this season is that when we go to the likes of Everton, when we go to the likes of Bournemouth, those teams that tend to play low blocks, we have the players now that can unlock those kind of defenses. But obviously, until we play them, we would never know. The next question here says, who should take penalties going forward? I think this is enough for discussion. Is Gyökeres. Because like Ateta made mention about this, that was in one press conference where we were talking about the best players in different positions and stuff. And he spoke about Gyökeres saying that yes, he has scored so many in his time. We have good penalty takers, but no, by the time they can decide within themselves. Right now, Saka is still a primary penalty taker, but I think Gyökeres will take them from him. Obviously, that opportunity would have come when we played Leeds, but Saka was already injured and left the pitch. And Declan Rice held the ball for a while before handing over to Gyökeres. But it's quite good to see the amount of penalty takers that Arsenal have that are quite good. You have Saka, you have Eze, you have Rice, you have Gyökeres. But I'm thinking that our primary penalty taker this season will be Gyökeres. And that's where my thought process is going towards. I don't think, obviously, as a striker, you want to pad up those goals. Among the 97 goals he scored for Sporting CP, 27 were penalties, And obviously, he has shown that innate ability to score penalties. He's not one, I think he gives me that Harry Kane vibes with penalties. He picks his spot and blasts the ball straight up. He doesn't have the time for all those finesse shots and all those whole crap. Now, you saw what he did against Leeds United. He knew where he wanted to play the ball, and he never even think twice before blasting it there. Of course, you can also ask your questions in the chat. While I'm taking these questions from the fans that came before the show, I will also take questions from the chat as well. I'm good to have you guys here. Thanks for always, being part of this journey, and of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. Going to the next question now, it says, has Nwaneri lived up to the hype in his breakthrough season? Has he lived up to the hype? I would say yes. Nwaneri is someone that Ateta has managed well. When Martin Odegaard suffered that injury in Norway last season, fans were clamoring for Nwaneri to come into the side, play him. But he was just a 17-year-old boy. Like, we need to manage our expectations with him. Yes, the hype train has always been around him, the youngest ever Premier League starter, blah, 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 and whatnot. But it was when Saka now got injured that he started playing on the right. He has played on the right for a couple of games, and you could see that when he started playing games week in, week out, fatigue took his toll. He started cramping, suffered some injuries, and at some point he's still coming into the team. So there has been this hype about Nwaneri, and I'll say it's positive hype. He has been doing very well. But has he lived up to it? I believe so. Like, it's not as if we're making it sound like he's the next best thing since fried plantain. He's still a very good squad player that has been doing well with the chances afforded to him, and he just have to continue in that vein. I don't think there have been so much fanfare compared to what's happening with Dauman right now. But Nwaneri has done very well with the chances afforded to him. That's my take. Which Arsenal goal this season has been the most memorable? So far we have scored only 6 goals this season in 3 games. The first one was a header when Declan Rice crossed the ball. Declan Rice crossed the ball, and Alta Bayonde had flappy hands and, of course, allowed Calafiori to knock the ball in. When we played Leeds United, the 2 goals from Timber were set pieces. They are now standing goals. The goal for Gyökeres, one was when he took the ball, dribbled a couple of players, and blasted it. The other one was a penalty. Then there was the Saka goal. So I think the most memorable goal so far should be the Gyökeres debut goal. He looked clunky somewhat, but The fact that he had so much pressure on him when he played against Manchester United, when he was subbed in the 59th minute, there were so many memes that he has more touches of his hair than shots on goal, blah, blah, blah. So going into that game against Leeds, he was under pressure to deliver. That was our home game, our first home game with the fans, and he needed to turn up. And what did he do? He went all out in that game. See the goal he scored. Received the ball as far back as midfield and had only one thing in his mind: to finish. He dribbled to a couple of markers, finally found the spot, and he blasted the ball home. And of course, the marks came out, and all of the Arsenal fans also brought out the marks and were genuinely happy for him. The second goal was just more like a icing on the cake and all that. But the most memorable goal for me had been Gyökeres' opening goal. That was a very good goal. I really love Saka's goal against Leeds too. That was like a one-time shot. That was brilliant. But that's Saka. We know what to expect from him. But in terms of being memorable, I think right now the Gyökeres goal. But if you guys have a different opinion, please put your comments on the chat. So the next question here says, which rival team worries you the most in the title race? Without doubt, it's Liverpool. And a slot came in for Jurgen Klopp last season, and in his first campaign with the club, he won the league. In his first campaign with the club, he won the league. Thanks, Lagelo. We'll have some people in the chat. Welcome, Gunners. Please let us hit the like and subscribe and get towards 100. We're getting there very soon. And because of your support, we appreciate that. Liverpool right now is very scary. That they won the league was not enough. They still went as far as spending £450 million in the transfer window. The undoubted most expensive outlays in the campaign. You lost Trent Alexander-Arnold. You bought Frimpong from Leverkusen. Oh, Top Heat says Tottenham. Okay, so Tottenham's Top Heat says Tottenham worries you the most. Top Heat, do you want to give me your comments why you feel Tottenham worries you the most? Because, okay, I'll touch on Tottenham a bit. Yeah, but let's just think about Liverpool for a bit. So you lost Alexander-Arnold, a player that, in all honesty, was really good in attacking but was terrible defensively. You got Frimpong. Frimpong will certainly not replicate the kind of crosses that Alexander-Arnold used to give when he was in Liverpool, no doubt. Andy Robertson was getting old. Costa Tsimikas was a squad player at best. Then he went to Bournemouth and signed one of the most exciting left backs in the Premier League, in Milos Kerkez. Okay? Going further up the pitch, you went and blew £125 million for Florian Wirtz, someone that scored 14 goals and 16 assists in the Bundesliga last season, did very well in the Euros as well. Then you went to Frankfurt, and blew £89 million for Hugo Ekitike, a striker that is currently emerging, has scored 22 goals in the Bundesliga or thereabouts. That was not still enough. Ekitike came into the Premier League, scored in the Community Shield against Crystal Palace, scored against Bournemouth in the first game, also scored against Liverpool, showed good form. Then he went and got Alexander Isak. Like, are you kidding me? So I'm legit concerned about Liverpool. And what pisses me off the most about them is that right now, they are not even playing that well. But who's on top of the Premier League? Liverpool. Look at their first game against Bournemouth. They scored 2 goals. Semenyo scored a brace. We're thinking we're going to have our first draw. Late on, Federico Chiesa and Mo Salah scored 2 annoying goals, and they won the game 4-2, sorry. The next game was against Newcastle. I don't know what entered what that guy's name, Anthony Gordon's head. That tackle on Van Dijk was pathetic. But, they had the tackle, got the red card. Liverpool scored 2 goals. Newcastle put a spirited performance and equalized 2-2. but they could not hold on. It was in the 19 plus 11th minute that Rio Moha scored that goal to make it 3-2. Your last game against us was Arsenal. That was a game that, was kind of like a chess game. But despite the fact that Arsenal kind of did very well in the game and whatnot, who won? Liverpool. So you're basically showing the same type of form they showed last year, where they will just keep grinding out results, getting those 3 points that they need. Obviously, they are playing Burnley next. I was expecting to win them like 4-0 or some crazy amount like that or whatever. But the tough games they've played, Bournemouth was tough, Newcastle was tough, Arsenal was tough, but they have 9 points. So that clearly shows that Liverpool is a team that should be concerned about. Now let's look at the thoughts of our folks in the chat. Topic is talking about Tottenham. Okay, let's talk about Tottenham. Obviously, what's his name? The coach had to leave, and posted no clue. Managed to win the Europa League thanks to Man U's stupidity, but Tottenham were 17th in the Premier League. That was downright pathetic. He was rightly sacked despite winning the Europa League, and they signed a very smart coach in Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank was someone that, in his time at Brentford, he could always hold his side. Like, he had the confidence to take care of his own team and do what was required to get the results. Under Frank, Ivan Toney turned up to be a beast. Last season, Mbeumo and Wissa were amazing. Mbeumo scored 20 Premier League goals. Wissa scored 18 Premier League goals. And they were the bulk of what was going on with Brentford. Now he joins Tottenham. He signs Mohamed Kudus for £55 million. He signs Xavi Simons. Who else did he sign again? I think those are the two key signs. Okay, he signed Vuskovic, the young defender, and all that. But in the games he's played so far, the very first game was Burnley. They were expected to win Burnley, and he won 3-0. The game against Man City was quite interesting. He also got João Palhinha on loan. That Man City game was quite interesting, and they won 2-0. And obviously, the spotlight was on them. But when they hosted Bournemouth last weekend, it was a different ball game. Bournemouth just came and just ran them ragged. It was quite shocking. But I agree with you, Topid. Tottenham is actually doing very well, but I'm not as scared of them as I'm scared of Liverpool. Frank is a United fan, but he likes the content. Man, thank you so much for being part of this. This is all about Arsenal. I know that, but it's always good to see, other fans coming around. Some who have intentions to win just, but it's always good to see you here. Thank you. So Topid has one more comment. He said, Chelsea worries me, but something doesn't feel right about Liverpool. Okay, in terms of what doesn't feel right, I think it's just the defense. If Liverpool has signed Maguire on the final day of the transfer window, the game would have been over. Like, right now, Konate is on borrowed time, wants to go to Real Madrid, has his fitness issues. Behind them is just Joe Gomez and that youngster they signed from Italy, Leone or thereabout, but he's 18 years old. Can't expect much from him. So if they are signed Guehi, which I believe they'll go back for him in January, Liverpool would have actually done very well because he would have given them the right level of depth. I imagine Guehi play like alongside Van Dijk, and Guehi is someone that in his time at Crystal Palace has been very outstanding. So if he had gone to Liverpool, it would have changed the game. But Chelsea, those guys are also cooking, man. Like, Maresca has found the team that he needs. Obviously, they keep churning out players, having the turnovers, selling, buying, and whatnot. But Chelsea are rightly where they are supposed to be on the table right now. First game against Crystal Palace, it was a 0-0 draw. AC scored a good free kick that was cancelled. I know VAR, that's a discussion for another day. The second game Chelsea played was against, Fulham was the last game. West Ham, yeah, oh my God. They wiped them 5-1, like João Pedro, Chalobah, Caicedo, and whatnot. And of course, the game against Fulham where they won 2-0. Kopama is injured, which is actually a big challenge for them. But the way Chelsea is playing right now, they have to be put in mind. Then Man City, I don't know what's going on there, man. Like, 3 games played, they lost to Tottenham, they lost to Brighton, then they beat Wolves. Man City is just, I don't know. Pep is, they should be among the contenders, no doubt. But what I'll just say that they have lost that fear factor. Teams right now can actually go at Man City and hope to get a result. Or like Liverpool, Arsenal, where you're not really sure, But to answer this question, in all honesty, the rival team that worries me in the title race is Liverpool. Chelsea is still there, Man City is still there, Tottenham has also stepped up. This season is going to be very interesting. Everybody is doing so well. I'm going to be, see how everything works out. Next question says, does Arsenal have enough squad depth to compete in both Premier League and Champions League? Of course, we do. I think the squad depth right now is amazing. We have 2 quality players in every position. In goal, you have Raya and Kepa. 111 John Ho, welcome for being in the chat. Thanks for being here. He says, first time listening. What do you think of Arteta's style of play? Is it too defensive? I would say it's too defensive. I would just say it's a bit defense-centric in the sense that Arteta has molded his players to know how to defend well, but we still have the right level of flair to attack games as well. So I won't necessarily say that our team is too defensive. There are games where we have shown that we are quite defensive, where it's difficult to break us down, which I believe is a good thing, But sometimes that pragmatism comes off as being too negative. Like when we played against Liverpool, I didn't support using Merino, Rice, and Zubimendi as your three midfielders. That was too defensive. But I think it's more of a game state. Top Heat says that Arsenal does just about the way Arteta plays. Yes, he has a defense style about him, but we still have some flamboyant players. So Lasbello has a question. He said, there's this elephant in the room. I'm wondering about you. Is it time to experiment a two-striker system? Two-striker system. I don't think we should. One, I think we have too many midfielders. I don't think we have enough strikers. It's just Gyökeres and Hibio Jesus that were strikers. I won't really call Kai Havertz a striker, even if he has been playing as one. So this fact that we have too many attacking midfielders, the formation we currently have works, Yeah, Topi made a very, very clear comment. He says he dominated Liverpool with only playing for the wings and 6 defenders. I still lost. Yeah, I agree. It was only Noni Madueke that actually wanted to make something work in that game. Martinelli was just Martinelli up the whole place. I think if AC started that game with Madueke on both flanks, we would have probably done better than what we did with Martinelli on that wing. So in terms of the squad depth, I believe we have the squad depth to compete on both fronts. Both in the Champions League and the Premier League. There's massive quality on every position. You have Lewis Kelly on Calafiori on the left. You have Timber White on the right. You have 4 amazing centre backs in Mosquera, in Kapi, in Gabriel and Saliba. I've gone over this already earlier in the video, so I won't talk about it. But I think the squad depth is good enough to compete on both fronts. And as you can see, the squad depth has been tested already. We are just 3 games into the season. We lost White. We lost Havertz, we lost Saka, we lost Norgard, we even lost Odegaard at some point. And yet, the team we played against Liverpool was still strong enough to at least get a draw or even win, even though we ended up losing. If it was the same time last season, we would have been on serious panic stations. With Havertz getting injured and going for his surgery, we have Gyökeres as our striker to hold the fort. You can even play Leandro Trossard as a false 9 if you want to rest Gyökeres. With Saka getting injured on the right wing, we saw Madueke play on that wing and do very well, actually. That's the play that he has experience in right from his time in Chelsea, right from his time in PSV. We have Norgard injured, and you can see what Zubimendi did. You can even play Declan Rice as a 6 if you want to. Odegaard, when he got injured, we had the Nwaneri that came on for him as a sub against Leeds, and Merino, who took his place in the starting lineup against Liverpool. So that squad depth have been tested already, and I think it's something that we just have to continue doing. Okay, so the next question here says, which injured player's absence has hurt the most this season? I think it's Saka. Saka is someone that is a maverick for us, someone that does the unexpected, someone that we always trust to come up with the goods. And anytime he's not on the pitch, you can see the impact. Why I'm saying this is that, okay, if Saka was fit, Madueke would have played on the left against Liverpool, while Saka played on the right. Saka would have really cooked Kekes, for us. But with him out, there's confidence that Madueke can actually do a decent job. Last season, when Saka was out, we had an experienced player in Raheem Sterling, but there was no way we could use Sterling because of how pathetic he was for us. We had to rely on an 18-year-old Maneri who played too many games and got injured and got fatigued pretty much. So in terms of players that are currently out, we have Havertz out, we have Norgard out, we have Saka out. We even have Saliba, who is potentially out because Saliba suffered an injury in the game against Liverpool. Mosquera came in and played very well for him, but Saliba did not go with the France international team for international football. So that's someone that we still have to think about. But guess what? The players whose presence I think affects us the most is Saka. Because when Saliba got injured, you saw what happened. Mosquera came in and it was like water off a duck's back. He played very well alongside Gabriel. I thought you'd agree with you. Definitely Saka. There's no two ways about it. Saka is like one of our most important players. I think the most important is the Arsenal talisman. And your talisman is injured, it certainly will have an effect. So it says, which away performance has impressed you so far? In all honesty, I've just played 2 away games. So this is a very, very small sample size. Man United and Liverpool. Yes, Man United, we struggled terribly, like terribly. They were just all over us the entire game. I was wondering what was going on. They even had 12 players. Against Liverpool, we had a more systematic approach. We controlled the ball well, had some attacks, and all that. So among the 2 away games I've played so far, I think Liverpool was the most impressive, even though we did not win it, but we did very well in that game. Yeah, Calafiori did so well. And Topi made a comment here. Teams always double up on Saka from the left, bringing down one of their midfielders. And I agree. And that actually helps the team because of the aura that Saka has, teams always want to double up on him because they know how damaging and effective he can be as a player. So that's the truth. Next one here says, has Arteta handled his substitutions well this season, or has he left them too late? Okay, so this one we have to kind of put it in the right context. When Arsenal played Man United, Arteta subs were Kai Havertz for Gyökeres in the 60th minute, Madueke for Martinelli in the 60th minute. As at that time, those were the right subs to make because Gyökeres had a terrible game against Man United. And Matip de Ligt was all over him. Martinelli stunk up the place as well, plays very poorly. Then, in the 71st minute, Ben White suffered an injury and had to be replaced by Timber. Timber was also coming back from an injury, but that one was enforced. Then we had Lewis Kelly coming for Calafiori. Calafiori had a very good game against Man United. Him and Mbuemo fought very hard against each other. But, he was getting tired, and it was good to see Calafiori come on. Then finally, Declan Rice came out for Merino. Then we won the game 1-0. In the game against Manchester United, I think all the subs were very okay. Havertz and Madueke came in the right time. That 60th minute mark was okay because we're trying to see how Gyökeres can continue to adapt, though he struggled and whatnot. And when Havertz came, you could see how the game changed. It just kind of played a bit better. For the fullback substitution in 75th minute, that was not bad as well. They actually did well because Calafiori and White, they worked their ass off in that Man United game because Mbuemo and Cunha were like bush babies. They were on fire. and they got jaded, they got fatigued, and they had to be subbed for both Luis Kelly and Timber. And of course, for Rice, he was a bit tired as well. It was good to see Merino coming. So for the game against Man United, I said our substitutions were okay. Now let's look at the game against Leeds. This was like a party game. We had Bukayo Saka suffer an injury. No. The first injury was Martin Odegaard, 33rd minute. He fell on his shoulder. He had fallen on his shoulder early on. Then he tried to play through the game, struggled a bit. Then he was subbed for 1-0. That was enforced. Saka, 53rd minute, running with the ball, gave a pass, fell something on his hamstring. He had to go out for Trossard because because Madueke was already on the left. So when Trossard came on, it was a swap. That's also enforced. Then, of course, when we had already scored 4 goals, Timber had scored 2 goals, Gyökeres and Saka had scored 2 goals. We had, so much time to now bring in more guys just to have fun. And that was when Max Darman came on for Madueke, who had a good debut. That was when Lewis Kelly came on for Calafiori, and that was when Mosquera made his Arsenal debut when he came on for Timber. So basically, those subs against Leeds United were like party subs. 2 were enforced due to injury, that the Saka and the Odegaard subs. Why did that 3 subs be like, okay, we have won the game 4-0, let's just give these guys some time to rest. Someone like Calafiori, someone like Timber, who have injury issues in the past, it makes a lot of sense to manage their minutes. Now, it brings me to the game against Liverpool. This is the game that I believe we did not do our substitutions well. The first one was William Saliba. He had injured in the warm-up. He had injured in the warm-up, then tried to play. He sat down on the pitch, and Mosquera came in the 5th minute. That was enforced as well. So basically, an enforced injury. But bringing on Odegaard and Eze in the 70th minute didn't go well with me because Merino and Martinelli were terrible against Liverpool. They should have been subbed a whole lot earlier. And as you can see, when Eze came on and when Odegaard came on, we had some level of flamboyance into the game, even though we ended up losing it. But I feel that we should have brought those 2 guys earlier. I even feel that Eze should have started because Eze played the first 2 games for Crystal Palace, even played the Conference League game against Fredrikstad. It was already another time for the second leg that he now told his boss that he can't play because they moved to Arsenal. So Eze was fit to even start. I don't know why he didn't start, but I can understand Martinelli trying to run down Soboslai on the right wing, and that kind of really pissed me because Soboslai is not even a right back. Martinelli could never take him on. So in the game against Liverpool, while the Saliba sub was enforced, I think Eze coming in was very late. Then in the 89th minute, we now sub Madueke and brought in Dauman for more magic, but this time it didn't work out. Keke is kind of pocketed Dauman and whatnot. So in the first games, I think the first 2 games, the subs were okay, but it was just this last game against Liverpool that I think we could have done better. Okay? Now, what the next one? It says, do you think Arsenal's attack looks stronger or weaker compared to last season? Oh, come on. This is not even up for deliberation. Oh, yeah, topic. I saw your comment about Saliba. I still think Saka is more impactful than Saliba. Well, Saliba is quite impactful because look at it from this way, topic. Saliba getting injured allows the likes of Mosquera or even Hincapié to come in, and these are very, very sturdy defenders. Saka, on the other hand, Madueke is quite good, but the levels are kind of different. But I agree with you. Losing Saliba and losing Saka is a bitter pill to swallow. And I can only hope that after the international break, they'll be back fully fit. So back to this question. It says, do you think Arsenal's attack looks stronger or weaker compared to last season? My answer is Arsenal's attack looks way stronger compared to last season. Last season, we had Mikel Merino as our 9. Let us sink in. Like, we are playing in the Champions League semi-final against PSG. And in my bets, I'm seeing Butler, Oyedeji, Henry Francis, Seth Ford, Raheem Sterling, Zinchenko. Like, how do you want to even impact the game, those kind of subs? But this season, Yeah, I brought in Jokeres. Yeah, I brought in Madweke. Yeah, I brought in Izzy. Like, and you're adding them to the likes of Martinelli, Trossard, Saka, Havertz. Come on, another attacker is way stronger this season compared to last. I don't think it's enough for deliberation. I will expect us to even score more goals. I will expect us to even break our goals record this season. Look, think about it. We scored Leeds 5-0. When was the last time Arsenal scored 5 goals in the game in the Premier League? So, Topi said, I think Gyökeres is ass. No. I disagree with you here, Topi. He's not. I disagree with you. Gyökeres is a very good player. Even the biggest players like Haaland have had their struggles in some games. Even Isaac have had their struggles in some games. Gyökeres didn't do too well against Liverpool and Manchester United, no doubt. But he's still an exciting player. I think he's going to score so many goals for us. I don't agree we are weaker. I think we are stronger. Okay, so 3 questions left. Next one says, which youngster deserves more game time in the first team? I think it will be Waneri because Martin Odegaard has really started to deceive in recent times. I think obviously he's still like an important player for the squad. That press he gives from the front is very important, it's very key to how we play. But I believe we should give Waneri loads of games this season. At least the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, those are very good breeding grounds for youngsters to play. And I think that's a very good one. Miles Lewis Kelly is someone that also deserves more game time. At least he has done enough to nail down his first team bet. And because of the confidence we have in him, we're comfortable enough to let Zinchenko and Tierney leave this season. So Lewis Kelly needs to get more games as well. Okay, so this is a question from 1111 John O. Do you think it's Arteta's fault that our players are getting injured frequently when he makes them track back consistently? I don't think it's his fault. I think it's just the system. The tracking back. Many teams track back. Liverpool tracks back a lot too. They do a lot of pressing, but you don't see the likes of Salah or Van Dijk or Gakpo getting injured. I just feel that we're just unfortunate. Just bad luck. In my opinion, I think it's just bad luck. Let's look at what has happened this season. Odegaard is playing well against Leeds. Challenges for the ball, he falls down, whoop, injures his shoulder. Saka is running with the ball, wants to give a simple pass, he injures his hamstring. Saliba is just doing his normal training just to start the game against Liverpool, he injures his ankle. So the injuries are very annoying, no doubt, but I don't think it's our coach's fault. People have spoken about how rigorous our training can be and stuff like that, but it's a thing that goes wrong. Every team trains hard. I don't think it's peculiar to just Arteta or anyone like that. So to answer your question, Jono, it's not Arteta's fault. It's just, bad luck. Okay, so 2 more questions to go. How do you rate Arsenal's defensive performances thus far? Okay, so before I answer this question, let me answer Jono's question. So please, if you have more questions, you shall go ahead. It says, who would you have started against Liverpool instead of Merino and Martinelli? Okay, very easily. I'd have started Eze ahead of Martinelli, and I'd have started Waneri ahead of Merino. And here's my thought process. Martinelli has really struggled, and I don't think he's good enough to be a first-team player for Arsenal anymore. I think he's someone that should be playing in the Carabao Cup, in the FA Cup, on Champions League games, coming on as a sub when games have been sorted out, because too many great chances come his way, either for him trying to create or him being at the end of them, and he struggles badly. I agree with you too. I agree. He struggles badly. Eze should have started that game. As for Merino, before that you already had Rice and Zubimendi, there was already enough defensive cover. We needed that flair player to unlock Gyökeres, to unlock Madueke. But you now put in Merino. Merino is also an industrious player. So it was like an overkill, in my opinion. I think we were very cautious of losing the game. that he went for that pragmatic style of play, which I don't support. So how do you rate Arsenal defensive performances so far? Against Manchester United, Arsenal played very well defensively. Manchester United, despite all the chances they had a very low XG. Arsenal kept a clean sheet. Arsenal defenders scored a goal, and it was very evident that was a good game for us. Against Leeds United, Leeds didn't come anywhere close to us in attack. I think the only chance they had was that corner kick where Pascal Struijk nodded the ball from a corner and then Raya made the save. And that was pretty much it. Against Liverpool, same thing. Yeah, I agree with you. He said, he made one every sign a new contract, telling him he play more central. Instead, he's playing him and played Merino. Do you get? I was so disappointed, John. 1-1-1-1, John. No, I was so disappointed. I thought that with Odegaard being injured against Leeds, you brought him Nwaneri. Not that Odegaard is injured, not that Odegaard was not fit enough to start against Liverpool. He still needed to bring in Nwaneri. With Saka being injured, didn't he bring in Madueke on the right flank? When Saliba got injured, didn't he bring in Mosquera? So why did he play Merino? I agree with you. It was quite disappointing not to see Nwaneri start that game. But it's what it is. I'm guessing we just need to keep learning from this. What we know for sure is that Nwaneri is the backup to Odegaard, and I'm sure he will get many more games to play. So our defensive performances so far have been very good. 3 games, 2 clean sheets. We were this close to, getting a clean sheet against Liverpool. 83rd minutes to Bushlife free kick. That free kick was amazing. You can't really be right. Right after did the best to dive as fast as he could reach, but it still went in. Farouk says, I don't believe Ateta can get you guys over the line. You have the squad. Well, what I would say to you, Farouk, is that he has assembled this squad and it's time for him to reap the fruits of his labor. So I believe he has it. 3 seasons in a row, he has come second. But just lacked that X factor, either one additional striker or one additional midfielder. And now I've signed 8 players. So I believe we have more than enough to challenge and win the Premier League this year. Okay, next question here says, is Ateta rotating the squad well enough this season? And my answer should be yes. In the first game against Manchester United, let's look at the lineup. So he had Raya in goal, Calafiori, Gabriel, Saliba, White, Rice, Zubimendi, Odegaard, Martinelli, Gyökeres, Saka. In the next game against Leeds United, we saw some changes. The first visible change was that Timber came in for White. The next visible change was that Madueke came in for Martinelli. So those were 2 changes from the Manchester United game. Then in the last game against Liverpool that we just lost, were there any changes? Yes. We saw Merino coming for Odegaard and Madueke came in for Saka. Then Martinelli kept his place in the team. So you can see that there have been changes, there have been rotations. And Ateta made it very clear this season that with the quality that he has in the squad now, he's more confident in granting players minutes to rotate the squad adequately. Even though injuries are kind of forced his hand to do some of these changes already, but I think this season Ateta is going to really make a lot of rotations, and we're going to see the effects of that, keeping the squad fresh as much as we can. And here's the final question for today. Which summer signing has impressed you the most this season? A very interesting question. So I'll take it one after the other. Kepa, obviously, he hasn't played, so I can't rate him yet. Nogard hasn't played, although I saw a glimpse of him in the Emirates Cup. Zubimendi has been amazing, like an A+ signing for me. I actually did a video where I rated Arsenal's transfer dealings. You can check it up in the page. I'll put it in the description after this, just for you guys to have a look. Zubimendi has been the best signing we've made so far that I've been impressed with in how he has played, in how he has come into the squad. and offer those protection, offer those progressive passes. He has been very brilliant. Gyökeres, there was so much expectation made of him based on the goals he scored in Portugal. But in 3 games played so far, he has scored in just one of those games. But I see expecting so much more from him. I'm guessing that obviously he's going to stick to his school of just being a flat track bully. I read somewhere that when he was at Sporting CP, he hardly scored goals against Porto and Benfica. It was usually against the lower side teams, Rio Ave, Vitória Setúbal, SC Braga, and the rest. And as I've come to the Premier League, he has seen games against Manchester United and Liverpool and really struggled, in all honesty, while he just damaged Leeds. So I expect him to play very well in those smaller games and might struggle in big games. But I'll still give him benefit of doubt because you see adapting to his teammates and all that. Then again, you see how many more games are going to put him to the test. After the international break, we're going to play Nottingham Forest. After that, we're going to host Manchester City. After that, we're going to go to St. James Park to play Newcastle, a team that we always struggle with. Madueke is another player that has done very well. I really love his debut against Leeds. I really love his performance against Liverpool. Despite being on enemy territory, Madueke was our best player on that day, and he showed very good football. Topi also says it's Madueke, and yeah, I agree. But to me, it's Zubimendi. So this brings us to the end of today's video live stream. I'm so grateful to everyone in the chat. Topid, Farouk, 1111 Jono, Las Bello. You guys are awesome. Thanks for being in the chat today. And I'll see you guys in the next